Hey there, BookTube. Noah. Everyone who reads and must converse is the channel. Thanks for coming back by again. Yasmin, how are you tonight?
Thank you. I'm good tonight. How are you?
Very good. Yasmin has her channel To the Lit House. Link is in the description box as always when she's joining me. And we have gone through Borges' collected fictions. This will be, since Yasmin is graduating, congratulations, Yasmin.
Thank you.
This will be the final story for a little bit, the Zahir. We're going to take a little break, and then we'll probably come back by and do
With
a
season
season
two.
two.
Yeah.
Borges season 2. Sundays with Borges, right? So
Yeah.
tonight is a really different story than the kind of stories that we've gone to. It doesn't even seem like story is the right word. And it doesn't seem like using the term different is the right word, since Borges is completely all over the
They're
place and a
all
genius.
different. We always say story isn't the right word, and it's very
Yeah.
unique.
We're going to talk about a little different story tonight, and none of that makes any sense at
Hmm.
all.
That's fine.
But let's talk about something that is completely incomprehensible, the Zahir
Yes.
by Jorge Luis Borges.
Yeah.
So, all right, upon rereading and looking at this story seemed like very like a memoir. This is
Hmm.
Borges talking, and he refers to himself. He is Borges, the I in this, and it is when I first came in contact with the Zahir, and then
Hmm.
the end of the first chapter. I am not the man I was then, but I still am able to recall and perhaps recount what had happened. I am still, albeit only partially, Borges.
Hmm.
So the ominous tones are self-referential in this one,
Hmm.
and it's very this story is really personal as far as him recalling something that has happened to him, and what has happened to him is very strange.
Yes. And this opens with him saying that there are other Sahirs, but that he's going to talk about this particular thing that happened to him. So we are also shown how many people have had this experience, but this one's unique to him.
Right. All right. So what does he get? What is his Zahir? He gets in his hand as change for a drink
Yeah,
at a bar, a 20 cent piece, a 20 centenarian piece. Is that what it's called? Um,
we call it
and that has
centavo.
centara,
Centavo.
centavo.
Yeah.
Nice. So, and it has some markings in it that distinguish it from other 20 cent pieces. Sure. So it is unique. Itself is unique, but
Mm-hmm.
what the markings are is like an N and a T and the number 2. It's not
Yeah.
any big deal, and nothing is said about any significance of that, what the
Mm-hmm.
NT2 might stand for or anything. It's just that that's the distinguishing markings. And he gets this piece after having a drink, after going to a wake for a I guess a fashionista,
Mm-hmm.
a a model.
A model that he admired and was maybe in love with, but we don't really get um context for this. We don't really know what the relationship is, do we?
No, I mean it struck me as kind of like, what is it? Just celebrity worship, just like somebody who
Mm-hmm.
was very famous that, or but then it does refer to that, like when he's leaving her burial or whatever it is that he went to, it's like, this is the last time I went to see her, upon the last time seeing her. So it kind of refers
Mm-hmm.
to like of seeing her other times,
Yeah.
but
Mm-hmm.
it's not clear. It's not crystal clear. um Borges, you know, is free
Tends to
to
do
do.
that. Yes.
So
And he says something interesting about her that she almost like to capture the everything in fleeting moments or something like that. I don't know if you can find the line there to read it, but um, something like she looked the absolute in fleeting moments or something like that.
oh yeah, well it was that. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
It's
where
like halfway through that paragraph when he's talking about her.
yeah, well, she was so preoccupied with look and and even facial expression and things like that, that she um was constantly changing, and that her,
Exactly.
you know, how
Yeah.
she did things was constantly changing, and she was just staying with the times. So she sought the absolute like Flaubert, but absolute in the ephemeral.
Mm-hmm.
So a kind of absolute beauty or rightness or correctness, but that is something you can't even grasp
Yeah, exactly. And
because
she
it's
says she doesn't focus on beauty. That's not her goal. Her goal is perfection. And like you
right.
said, she's constantly changing, and changing according to fashion and other people's perception and other people's, you know, what they want in a way.
That's really, and I think we're on to something with that that I didn't even think of before. Uh, the beauty or the perfection that's in something that can't be
Mm-hmm.
grasped. And then we talk about oxymorons, or he talks
Mm-hmm.
about the oxymoron of going. So it's two things that seem to contradict each other, and then we have a Zahir that is being grasped and looked at,
Yes,
and is a physical thing that he has.
that's
So
true.
that's pretty cool, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think about that until we really just started talking into it right now. Okay, so he's given the Zahir as change, and then all of a sudden he's struck by the symbolism of coins, and he
Yes.
goes off into this. He goes off into this just. Well, first, let me say a little something about the oxymorons. In the rhetorical figure known as the oxymoron, the adjective applied to a noun seems to contradict that noun. Thus, the Gnostics spoke of a dark light, and the alchemists of a black sun. So him being in the bar, drinking brandy, watching the guys play truco,
Card game,
uh,
yes.
and that is just such a everyday, no big deal kind of thing compared to the
Mm-hmm.
weight of this woman's passing had on him. So the oxymoron comes out in that. And then he's given this as change, and he's going completely off the rails with all this symbolism, some
Yeah.
of which I get, some of which I didn't. Leopold Bloom's Unreturning Florin from Ulysses, right? And another from A Thousand and One Nights, the bright coins of the wizard, which turns to discs of paper, and just on and on and
Yeah,
on.
me
All these
too.
different.
There are many differences here that I don't get. And as we were talking about before, it's like this coin, which is a symbol of every coin that came before it in history, that's been talked about, thought about, written about. But at the same time, that coin is unique, and his own perception of the coin is unique because he can come up with all these references, very unique to Borges.
So he just straight up goes on this like kind of intellectual, symbolic,
Mm-hmm.
uh, tr- like a tangent, and then and I was struck by things that we had said through reading a lot of Borges, right? That this one coin is representative of all coins,
Yeah,
and one man is representative of all men,
yeah,
mankind, humanity, things like
yes.
that. You know what I mean? That Borges likes to
Like every
distill things down.
individual thing represents everything.
Right.
Yeah, I can't come up with
Any
another
any
story, but we see it so
any
much.
one of its kind
Yeah.
represents the all of
Mm-hmm.
that thing. It has within it the essence of
Yes.
all, you know.
Everything.
And not just coins. Coins represent all wealth, all things that might be used as for exchange for goods or
Mm-hmm.
something like that. Symbolically, it would just be something that would go on and on and on, and we could probably, you know, fill up notebooks with things that could fit into that. But then he leaves, and he wanders incoherently around while he's thinking, and then when he comes to and realizes what he's doing, he he actually is only like one block from the place that he just left, and he goes and looks at it, and it's closed already. And so you see something is happening with this guy.
Mm-hmm.
um he says, and this is what I thought was really, really cool: adherents of determinism deny that there is any event in the world that is possible, i.e., that might occur, because it's only things that will occur and things that won't occur. There's no maybe, there's no might happen in a deterministic um, outlook, right? The
Mm-hmm.
coin, a coin symbolizes our free will. I had no suspicion at the time that those thoughts were an artifice against the Zahir and a first manifestation of its demonic influence. After a long and pernicious musings, I at last fell asleep, but I dreamed that I was a pile of coins guarded by a griffin. So, things are getting weird. And they're
Yes.
getting weird off of what? Like, what has happened? You know,
Yeah.
just this coin. Upon rereading, I was just like, man, he just kind of throws you right into it. This is some real
Mm-hmm.
Twilight Zone kind of stuff. He's
Absolutely.
he's starting to lose his mind on nothing. So he wakes up the next day, decides that he was drunk. That's the
Yeah.
reason for his, well, if you're drunk or not.
Yeah,
If
it's
you're drinking.
denial.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
but he wakes up, he decides he was drunk, he's just kind of, and he says, I'm going to be rid of this coin. It says, and I thought, just so many cool little lines that can be explored. He says it might have been best to bury it in the garden or to do whatever, to
Mm-hmm.
hide it from himself like that. But instead, he takes a trip. He takes a short trip. He gets off at a random train station. He goes on studied, what does he call it? Studied spontaneity
Mm-hmm.
through the streets, and then he just picks a bar, he goes in and has a brandy, and he pays with the Zahir to be rid of that coin.
Mm-hmm.
So
So, yeah, he's like fighting his own mind because he can't really trust himself. He realizes, even though he's not quite obsessed with it, he realizes the power that that coin holds over him, and the only way to rid himself from it is to fight his own mind and lose the coin.
hey, yeah, it's just a thing where um it's not complete obsession yet, but you sense some kind of weird stuff happening. And then this next one is is just the next little part. I didn't know how to take it. I saw it as somebody like toying with an addiction or something, because he says that he started a story, a
It's a
fantasy story.
fantasy
In
story.
many Borges stories, like the Borges as the main person, like what he's doing while the story is going on is he's trying to write a different story.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good. So he's
Yes.
trying to write a fantasy story, and it's so cool. If you haven't read this story, go ahead and read it. It's only like half a page or so. Um him talking about this fantasy story that he's writing to distract himself. And what it is a take on, it's a kind of a twist, kind of like what he did with House of Asterion. And
Mm-hmm.
then we ended up that we were in the with the Minotaur and didn't really realize it until the end. It's a take on Wagner's The Ring cycle, the Ring of the Nebulum, where you're actually the dragon that is guarding the gold when Siegfried comes to slay you, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And
But in this case,
but you
it's a
don't really
snake, right?
realize. Right. Just total Borges stuff to do something like that so quick and succinctly, and make it another fun thing that can be explored in the
Mm-hmm.
story. So
Yeah.
let's see.
Yeah, I don't know how to take that either. And it's interesting because before, like you said, he says, I must have been drunk. But at the same time, even though he's in denial, he understands that the coin is dangerous. Um, so you're not really sure what he's thinking. So yeah, I was also
Well,
confused.
there's a lot of the kind of themes of being obsessed over a gold, uh,
Mm-hmm.
in Wagner's The Ring cycle, and guarding the gold. He said that he was the pile of gold
Mm-hmm.
being guarded as a griffin by a griffin in the dream before, and then he's writing a story about where the reader is actually following the dragon being guarding the gold.
Mm-hmm.
So there's just a lot there. But he said that he rarely thought of the Zahir, didn't see it as much of a danger. Therefore, he would think about the Zahir. He would stop
He
and
got
just,
confident.
yeah,
Yeah.
and just happily think on the Zahir. Think of what? A
Um,
coin that doesn't
yeah.
mean anything? Like, it's just like, wait, what is happening here?
Hmm.
And then it gets to a point where it's an obsession. It's totally, he opens the door a crack, and now it's flooded in, and he's getting to where he can't think of anything but the Zahir.
Yeah,
Um,
and sorry.
Go ahead.
He had been logical, or at least not logical, but tried to analyze coins and what they represented and how they were symbols. But then, after that fantasy story, when he tries to be analytical and when he tries to think, it's just a coin. It's like any other coin he can. And that's when you begin to realize that before the coin used to um, be the symbol for other coins, and he would think about all these other things and how it showed that we have free will and all of that. But then that coin was the only thing he could think about, and he could think about no other coins. So it's a flip completely.
Right. He's like examining coins under the microscope,
Yeah.
trying to, I don't know, become obsessed with a different coin if he can,
Right.
or something. It's wild. But he goes to a psychoanalyst. There's like maybe 3 lines of that where he says how he's not being honest. And then
Yeah.
he goes and looks at a book which has the description of his illness. And it is a book that is talking about the Zahir document, an every existing document that bears upon the superstition of the Zahir. And there is a story after story in here about people becoming obsessed by seeing the Zahir. But the Zahir in these stories is not always a coin. It's
Hmm.
a rose. It's a tiger. It's the bottom of a well. It's, a slave or something. Just and that it says that it comes from the Persian originally, and
Hmm.
that there's only one Zahir allowed in the world at any given time.
Yeah.
Um, it's very ridiculous, and over the top. But the the one that the tiger is super interesting, and he
Hmm.
said, and that's why I use it as the picture for the Instagram there. Verily, he has looked upon the tiger. He was told that the reference was to a magic tiger that was the perdition of all who saw it, even from a great distance. For never afterward could a person stop thinking about it. And then there is the story of that person who had seen it that went to prison, that is drawn tigers all over the cell, tigers
Hmm.
made up of other tigers, and that you just get this feel of this hallucinogenic tiger kaleidoscope mural that just is awesome.
Yes.
Completely
Sounds
awesome.
crazy.
But what we're getting to with it, and what Borges is getting to with it, is infinity, right?
Yeah.
It's this kind of infinite thing. We're seeing that um everything about the Zahir, when we're talking about, or when he's talking about it, is made up of everything else, and it brings into mind this kind of idea of interdependence. That,
Hmm.
well, the coin is not just the coin. The coin is the metals that are used to make that coin. It is the manpower and the machining and everything that is used to quarry that and to shape it and to do it, and the government behind issuing the coin. It is all the goods and services that have ever been exchanged back and forth for that coin, everybody involved in that. And that's just scratching the surface, right? I haven't even said anything that is most of it. It is a
Yeah.
huge chain of causes that make up any one thing to exist. So, apart from it just being like a coin is representative of all coins, this coin is special and is not just a representation and brings to mind everything to do with it, but everything in the entire universe.
Yeah.
And
Like if
and,
you
and
take
he's
into account like the people who are in contact with the people who are in contact with the coin, like that's how you begin to see the infinite chain. like you were
Yeah,
saying.
he's getting opened up in a way
Hmm.
by this coin, to where at the end he's almost not sorry that he's completely going mad.
Yeah,
And so others, the sister of the female that had died,
yeah.
she saw the Zahir, and
Hmm.
she is now in at the on the last page of this story is in a mental asylum and going to, stay there for the rest of her days or something like that. And he sees that that's his fate as well,
Hmm.
and he's not sorry about it.
Yeah.
He's like resigned to it, right?
Hmm.
In a way, but not resigned, but he says I no longer will perceive the universe like, the outer world. I will
Yeah.
perceive the Zahir. Idealist doctrine has it that the verbs to live and to dream are at every point synonymous. For me, thousands upon thousands of appearances will pass into one. A complex dream will pass into a simple one. Others will dream that I am mad, but I will dream of the Zahir. It's
I love that.
wild.
It is wild, and it talks a lot about the power of the mind and perception. And I was telling you before how makes me think of lawn, and the world will become lawn, and in this case, to him, it'll be the Sahir because that's what he perceives. And if it gets to a point where everybody is thinking of the Sahir because this coin is going to get passed on, and then more and more people are going to start becoming obsessed with it, if enough people start seeing this here, will that turn into their reality and their accepted world?
And everyone's like, what
Hmm.
would it change the entire world? What is it doing? And I'm going to get to that in a little bit, because there's definitely some stuff that I want to kind of bore out on that. But just the very end. So I think I link the pronouncement that the Zahir is the rending of the veil. So the rending of the veil implies an illumination,
Yeah.
a seeing more clearer. And the Zahir is the rending of the veil. I link that pronouncement to this fact. In order to lose themselves in God, the Sufis repeat their own name or the 99 names of God until the names mean nothing anymore. I long to travel that path. Perhaps by thinking about the Zahir unceasingly, I can manage to wear it away. Perhaps behind the coin is God. So,
A complete 180
just
from like 2 pages ago.
right. Just wild, huh? And so there's that kind of thing where Gnosticism has been brought up, and this kind of thing of liberation. I don't know if I want to go into it first, but well, we'll just do it. In Gnosticism, this kind of thing, and it's kind of a thing that Borges is getting at. This thing is so weird. First off, I'll just say, and
Yeah.
it's hard to kind of wrap your head around it. Gnosticism is very complex as well. But in Gnosticism, the creator God, the God of the Old Testament, Jewish scripture, that God is not the Most High God. The
Hmm.
God that creates the world is a God, is a demiurge. A
Hmm.
demiurgos is what how Plato would put it. And Gnosticism puts that demiurgos is actually not our friend at all. That is somebody who a being that is keeping us in bondage to the material world by creating this world and all that kind of stuff. And so the Most High God is definitely removed from that. Um, creates the demiurge by a reflection of itself.
Hmm.
And then there is this being that is a reflection of him, or her or it,
Hmm.
but creates this world. And so how do you save beings? How does the Most High God save beings? What is this messianic figure, this kind of savior being in Gnosticism? And that is a being that actually is here working within the world, in the world and not of it, is a
Hmm.
very good description. It is an alien, and it is something that is completely otherworldly and here to show us and break us free of the material world. I think of Philip K. Dick and what he did with his exegesis with a lot of this stuff, because it drove Philip K. Dick completely insane, postulating this stuff and getting there. And it's just totally wild. But the Zahir is kind of this messianic figure, and what Borges is doing with this, because to everybody in the world, of course, this looks like madness. This looks like complete, falling into, and you're gonna waste your life away, and you're gonna be unsuccessful, and you're gonna die, and nothing's gonna come of it. But that person, if there's a way to work into that where you see the all of the universe in one thing and can hold it in your mind and can experience it and be there, is that not worth it? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
really,
exactly.
the personal experience of that. Yeah, there's no success involved in that. Yeah, there's no, people saying how great you are, and giving, and you being rich and whatever it is, that whatever metric you want to put on that, it might look like complete insanity to the outside world. But the person, like Borges becomes, this is fine for me. This is even something that might be preferable to something that might be, of scraping by day to day, trying to make a living or something.
Yeah, which is kind of ironic that it comes from a coin.
Right.
But
yeah, it is oxymoronic, the whole thing.
Exactly, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, because like, how to anybody, somebody who's enlightened will look crazy, and you won't possibly understand what it is that that person is thinking or going through or understanding and unveiling unless you go through it yourself. So it's an interesting place to be in, but I guess definitely worth it if you're him.
Yeah, I'm reminded of Paramahansa Yogananda. He had a disciple come to him and say, your teachings are pretty crazy. And he said, yeah, we're all crazy, okay, but you're gonna like my, just try it out. You'll like my crazy a lot better than yours.
Yeah, and what is crazy?
Right.
Like, if everybody starts seeing this here. I
also love it when at the near the end, when he's talking about all the different Zahirs and things like that, there's the Zahir that's the tiger, and he's like, I kind of envy the people who saw the Zahir as a tiger, because how easy is it to not think of a tiger? And it's like, really, like, how easy is it to not think of a quarter?
Right.
I held 3 in my hands earlier today, and I don't care about any one of them. You know what I mean? Like, and every day, it just doesn't matter. So it's just a real personal take on a descent into madness, enlightenment. Who knows?
Who knows? Exactly.
See God in a 20-cent piece.
Could happen.
Right. Thank you, Yasmin.
Yeah, thank you, Noah.
Anything else you want to add?
No, I think I'm good. This was fun.
Very cool. Thank you, BookTube. The Zahir, it's a great little short one. And we'll catch you on the next one, BookTube.
Bye.
Bye-bye.